finish up our page, we have a little bit more coding to do. I'm going to use some of the things that I just showed you in the last few videos to complete the page. I'm going to make a style for my button that changes the button when it's hovered over. I'll use the parent selectors to do this. I'm going to change the background color of my Go button when the user hovers over, and we'll change the color of the text as well. So if we save our page and look here in the browser, when I hover over, obviously my button is changing. The other thing that I want to have happen is when you actually click in the search field, I don't want this blue outline to show up. So let's eliminate that as well. And again, I'm going to use our referencing the parent selector to accomplish this. Our input field currently has a class of search, so I'm going to go underneath the search and we'll go ahead and put :focus, and then we'll just change the outline here to 0. If we save and we refresh in the browser, you can now see when I click in this field, I don't get that little extra blue outline. The other thing I want to do is I want to be able to format this text right here. Currently, this text is using the HTML5 placeholder values. So you can see I have placeholder of search ... We're going to go ahead and we're going to style this as well. So again, this is part of the search input field. So I'll use my parent selector. This time I'm going to use ampersand and we'll use : placeholder. I'm using the double colons here. In CSS3, all pseudo elements have to use the double colon syntax, and all pseudo classes are going to use the single colon. So placeholder is one of those pseudo elements. So we'll make our placeholder text display with blue, and let's change the font weight to be bold. If we save now and check our page in the browser, you can see that now the text becomes blue and is displaying bold. The final elements that I need to update is I want to, first of all, close the gap between the search box and the Go button. And just to remind you, in our CSS, remember that there's a span tag with a class of wrap that's wrapping around the second input field that is our button. We have the input field and it's followed by another span tag with the classes of fa and fa_left. Back in my SASS file, I'm going to make a new selector. This one's going to be for .wrap, and I'm going to set the position here to relative. I'm going to tell this element to display as inline block, and I'm going to change the left position to -8 pixels. This is going to pull the element back a little bit so that we no longer have that gap. So now you can see that that gap is closed. And then the final thing that I want to do is I just want to move this little caret over. I'm going to put this right on the edge of the Go button so that it looks like it connects these elements a little bit. And we'll just go ahead and style this by using straight nesting. So I'm going to go ahead and use my selector right here. Add the properties that I want to change. I'm going to change the color of the triangle. I'm going to position it and specify the right and the top. If we save and we refresh, you can now see that my triangle has moved. So it's just kind of created more of a graphical element right there where the little triangle is pointing to the search field that's connecting these items. Hopefully now you understand a little bit more about the nesting feature. As I mentioned earlier, most people get started using SASS by using nesting. It takes a little while to really get used to the nesting of the code, and sometimes if you're not used to using SASS, you might still write as though you weren't using SASS, but you want to keep in mind that the nesting can really help to keep your code a little bit cleaner and more organized.